Hello Internet and welcome to my channel again. Today let's talk about Xbox Scarlett. Recently there was a news that's swirling around that Xbox or the new Xbox, which is called Scarlett, will feature a CPU with no compromise, allow 4K 120 FPS gaming. So this news came courtesy from Greenberg, which did an interview with the Xbox official magazine. So let's focus on what they say. But with the next gen, I think you will see a big upgrade in CPU because we really want to make sure that you don't have any compromise with the frame rate. Yes, we can do 4K, but we can also do 120 frames per second. So I think that type of capability will be something that people doesn't see today. So this is a bold statement from Microsoft or the next Xbox Scarlett and about the CPU upgrade. So doing 4K and 120 frames per second, this is a great feat on its own. But when you read closely, you'll see that there's just like type of wordplay in this statement. If you go back again, we can do 4K, but we can also do 120 frames per second. So they cannot do both, maybe. The statement isn't clear. They didn't say or and. They just like left it for interpretation. So let's take case by case. So 4K, Xbox One X can do 4K. Yeah, of course, it's just that 30 frames per second because of the weak CPU. But 4K is doable. Even on PC, it's became very cheap, like RTX 2060 can easily do 4K. It is not the best 4K, like the frame rate will be fluctuating from 60 to 30, unless you drop the quality. So yes, 4K is doable. But we can also do 120 frames per second. So this is another statement that the 120 frames per second also doable in the next Scarlett. So in order to achieve a high frame rate, of course, you need to drop the quality of your output from 4K to 1440p or Full HD, and in this case you will achieve a very high frame rate. This is very known in the PC gaming. But still, if you have a strong GPU, you still need a very beefy CPU as well to feed all those information or all those 120 frames per second into the GPU. So maybe this is what Microsoft actually is trying to achieve, 120 frames per second at Full HD or 1440p. But here's the caveat. If we took the 4K and the 120 frames per second and the Xbox or the new Xbox tried to output them together, this is the skeptical situation. Because see, if we compare it with the best GPU for the PC, the best GPU is the RTX 2080 Ti. And this is no cheap GPU, it is $100,000 or more. This GPU can easily do high quality 4K 60 frames per second, assuming you have a good CPU. But if you want to add even more frames, well, you either have to drop the quality, which is contradict the statement came from Microsoft official magazine, or you add another GPU, RTX, and connect it with SLI or NVLink. And in this case, you will be able to achieve 4K 120 frames per second, assuming you have a very strong CPU in this case. And this setup is not very cheap, like the GPUs alone, the two GPUs will cost $2,000. And this is not including the CPU, the motherboard, the NVLink, and all the other accessories for the PC. And Microsoft can easily say that we can do 4K, but also we can do 120 frames per second. So both of them in the same output is impossible. But still, there is one situation where Xbox or Microsoft with the new Scarlett, they can output 4K resolution with 100 frames per second. Maybe it is not a word play like everybody just assumed, but maybe Microsoft is real about this situation here. So, what is Microsoft's recipe to achieve 4K 120 frames per second? Well, this is easily. If we can recall back when Microsoft released the Xbox One X, Microsoft also introduced backward compatibility and with this hardware. And what they did actually with this backward compatibility, that Xbox 360 titles, when they were ported to the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X, well, especially for the X, those old titles were enhanced. So from HD, sub HD, they were pumped up to 4K. Like for example, Burnout Paradise Remastered, it easily reached 4K from the lousy resolution from Xbox 360 days. So this is a very big jump while maintaining the same frame rate, which is 60. Also, Gears of War 2 and 3, they achieve the same thing. So they pump up the resolution from 720 at those old days to 4K immediately with the power of the Xbox One X, while maintaining the same frame rate. So what is Microsoft planning actually for the new Scarlett is that use those titles, the Xbox 360 titles, and pump them to 4K, not only 4K, to 120 frames per second, which is easy to be done. Because the Xbox One X can do 4K 60 frame or 30 frame per second based on the optimization of the enhanced title of the Xbox 360. So the recipe for Microsoft to succeed into this 4K 120 frame per second is using the old Xbox 360 titles and enhance them all the way up. Well, they are currently achieve 4K, so obviously they need to improve the CPU clocking or the CPU power in their next generation console to even pump up the data that flows into the GPU, which achieving 120 frames per second. Still, games need to be optimized again or enhanced again. So enhance the enhanced game. So this is my thoughts about this situation. Just tell me what do you think about this 4K 120 frame per second that Microsoft is claiming in the comment section below. And thank you for watching.